everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. Today we're going to do a little tip on using a tool, and granted not everybody has one, but I recommend if you have a few bucks, you might want to invest in one, and I'll explain later what all I've used it for. But it's one of the handiest tools I've ever purchased, and I'm going to show you and give you another little tip on cutting foam. Okay, everybody. The problem I had, as you can see here, I have different layers. Well, I pieced the foam out right here with a small piece instead of using a whole new sheet. And when I did that, then is when I realized that my stringers over here that were on top of this little indent that goes out into the garage were taller than the ones over here. If I had realized that before I put the foam on, I would have taken those out and cut them down so that this would actually be level. But I always figured that I'd have a way to cut this down. Well, foam is harder to cut down than what you think it is. But I have a little section that I still need to do. You can see that I've done a section here. And let me show you the tool that I used for that. This is the tool I used. It's the Dremel Multimax. And it's an MM20. I don't know if they sell them in smaller sizes. But I'll tell you why I bought this tool in the first place. We put a wood floor in the house. And this is the type of tool you need with some kind of a cutting bit on it here for wood to go. You just set it on top. You put your wooden tile on the floor. You set this on top of it with a piece of tape on the wood. And then you just let this thing vibrate and you run it in to cut all of your door sills and everything that come down. So you can slip the tile under the door sills. That's what this thing is really good for. It's good for cutting electrical boxes, which I used it to cut in my electrical box here on my fascia. I used it to cut in the boxes for my UP5 panels. It's handy for a whole lot of stuff. But what I did here, and I'm going to try and show, and I know everybody doesn't have one of these, and I know that there are some people that have a similar device, Milwaukee, DeWalt, everybody makes one of these things. I don't know how inexpensively you can buy one. I haven't checked at Harbor Freight. But anyway, I took an old blade that I had cut into nails with and everything, and it was in real bad shape. And what I did with was I took it over to the grinder and I ground an edge on it, just like a knife. It's got a knife, basically got a knife edge on it. And I did the same things on the sides. The sides are not too useful because the motion of this thing is like this. So the sides of it try and just dig in, but the front edge of this thing cuts like a champ, and you can run it underneath the foam and to this depth, and then all you got to do is go along the whole area you're going to level off, and then just pop it up and pop the foam off, then start again and go back further and pop it up and start again, and it works real well. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to demonstrate it on that piece right there that I need to cut out. It's going to be noisy. I'm up on the stool so I can get to this thing. Let me see if I can turn this around a little bit. You'll probably get a nice shot of my shoulder and my back, but I'll see how it turns out, and if I need to, I'll do it again. But anyway, what I do is I lay the blade, since the blade will lay flat on the foam like so, I lay the blade flat, and I know this is level, and I just try and run it in as flat as I possibly can. So anyway, we're going to give this a shot. It's going to get noisy, and I have this thing set on the lowest vibrating setting. There's no sense in setting on one higher. It just melts the foam. So here we go. I guess I would also want to mention that you also have to have it plugged in. Anyways, here we go. switch on this thing works a little bit on the tough side. But there you kind of get an idea of what's happening. And you can see there, and I'll put the camera down here a little bit closer, but you can see it's almost like giving the foam a haircut. But this thing just works marvelously with that modified blade on there. Let me cut out this last piece, and then I'll take a picture of this whole thing here close up for you. And there you go. Pretty short work of cutting that foam out. While it may not be perfectly level, I can worry about that later with some plaster. I can certainly put plaster in there, some self-leveling plaster, and level that right out. Although I think it's good enough to at least put scenery material under it and level it up at that point and let it dry. But let me get you a closer picture. Okay, here's kind of a level shot of the whole area. I cut this area over here out last night, and you just watched me cut this area out. I'm a little more experienced now than I was last night. But if I get up here, this is where the turntable tracks come out, and you can see that I have the area cut out for the roundhouse, and now I have an area cut out for the 3 tracks that are going to come off the turntable here, storage tracks. Not sure what I'm going to do scenery-wise here. I'm thinking about putting a trestle there. In here somewhere. I'm also not sure. You can see that I've also cut the foam out for the tunnel over there, but we'll get into that on an update video. But I also have a couple of thoughts there, maybe using a bridge over there as well. But anyway, for now, let me get over here and take a real close-up of that blade. And you can see, if I'd hold it still, you can see that I ground it pretty sharp with the grinder. And like I say, I know that everybody can't afford or doesn't have one of these machines, but boy oh boy, even if you could borrow one, it makes leveling out foam so much easier without making a whole lot of mess. You can see that I don't have a lot of mess here to clean up. But anyway, that's my tip, using the Dremel Multimax MM20 and an old blade to make a really nice foam cutter. Okay, here's a shot with the turntable back in, and you can see that all the concrete slab here is pretty level. At least it's close enough, like I say, to get something underneath it to cushion it. If I was to take the roundhouse off of there and put a level on those tracks, which I did last night, you'd find that those tracks are perfectly level. Obviously 2 tracks are going to go back that way. I'm waiting for either another straight or, I don't know, another curve possibly. I may use another one of these curves here to try and bring that track in a little bit. But nevertheless, you get the idea of what's going on here, and I may use that curve over there, but I'm not sure about that either. But anyways, you'll see that it all fits in there with the foam cut down. Where the track goes up over there and it's going to go underneath the tunnel, that's just going to have a natural slope to it. I'm going to put ballast under it, and it's just going to be naturally sloped. Not worried about that in the least. But anyway, there you go. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the short video tip on cutting foam with the Multimax Dremel 20. It's a very useful tool, like I said, and I'm in a pretty good learning curve here with using different materials such as the foam here. But everything's working out good so far, and I'll try and keep you posted on any kind of tips and tricks I find. So as usual, thanks for watching.